Well, well, well. This episode of Evil as Hell is about Vince McMahon and WWE's bloody and treacherous rise to the top. And we will start at the beginning. Vince McMahon grew up a troubled child. He was estranged from his father. So his father, Vince McMahon Sr., who everybody had all this respect for, wasn't in Vince's life like that. Vince McMahon, as a young adult, found his father and started working in the business for him. In those days, everybody had an agreement. It was based off territories. Vince McMahon Sr. had the New York territory, which was huge and it contained great stars. But there was many more territories. So when Vince McMahon actually talks his father into selling him the business, he betrayed everything that was sacred in wrestling. From sticking to his territory to breaking kayfabe years later. Now in these days, breaking kayfabe and breaking territory boundaries would get you killed. So in my opinion, Vince joined the elite group that would protect him. Let's just say it's not a Christian group. So Vince McMahon takes over the company and it's a go. Vince McMahon had great ideas. But to climb to the top like he did, it took many sacrifices, and Bruce left many deaths in his wake. Now let's talk about the other company, the NWA. That was like 10 WWFs. Let's just keep it honest. And every single body, we're going to go down the list. Every single body who turned Vince McMahon down, every single body that would not play ball, couldn't be controlled, something happened to them drastically. Either died or were paralyzed. Let's start with what people call the Von Erich curse. The Von Erichs was a charismatic group of wrestlers who set the Texas territory on fire. In fact, they was the first group really traveling. They wasn't invading other people's territories. They was going places where other territories simply weren't. WWE took WCCW's whole style, from the close-in views for you actually hearing the action in the ring, for the big time wrestling that was going on, which was actually called that because the big production team they had. In no way, shape, or form were those boys going to turn on their father and join the WWF/WWE. So one by one, something started happening to the Von Erich boys. Follow me now. Boy. Let's start with David Von Erich, the Yellow Rose of Texas. Anybody in the know would tell you he was going to be the next NWA champion. They have said he was groomed for it. They have said he was naturally just fit for it. And as his quest to go on, and they're doing big numbers, he's going to Japan, and he dies mysteriously in Japan. It's been so many different rumors of what happened to him, from him choking on his own vomit to him having an overdose, but yet he died. That's one of the first who died who refused to do business with Vince McMahon Jr. Now let's move on to Mike Von Erich, who supposedly killed himself. There was so much pressure on him, they say. But this is a Von Erich kid who dealt with pressure since he was a young one. And in my personal opinion, there's something funny in every Von Erich death. I just sense evilness behind. Whether that's a deal the father made with the devil, or is that a deal with the devil coming after them because they won't sign, as in Vince McMahon? And I think it's the latter. So Mike Von Erich not being able to live up to the pressure that he's lived up to since he was a baby, so-called kills himself. Then let's go to Von Erich, which all kind of strange things happened to Von Erich, Kerry Von Erich, that is. From him losing his foot in a motorcycle accident. Now, how many motorcycle accidents do you hear about, and how many of them guys lose their foot? To them actually doing some things where he didn't actually lose his foot at first, but it was hanging on a strand, and they actually fixed him. And then in the middle of the night, mysteriously, he gets up and tries to run up out of there. What he was running from, we don't know. They said he was drowsy, whatever the case may be, but to me, it's still foul play. And then Kerry Von Erich, so-called, shoots himself in the woods. And the other child before that, Chris, shot himself or killed himself somehow. So you got all these Von Erichs, the same people who wouldn't sign with Vince McMahon, going down. Now, let's move towards Florida wrestling. With the great Eddie Graham, the great promoter, the great booker, and was a pretty darn good wrestler. Now, he supposedly killed himself. Now, the man that was so influential in Florida, and if Vince really wanted to conquer the world, he had to take Florida. And they went no way with all the respect he had in Florida, with him being alive, with Vince being able to just come in there and take over. Now, they're saying he would have worked with Vince and all this, but there was plenty of people that tried to work with Vince. The Ganyas tried to work with Vince, but Vince wanted to do this on his own. And then after he took over the world, he brought people to come work for him. Make no mistake about it, Vince was about seek and destroy, and that's what he did. So Eddie Graham, the one who taught Dusty most he know, and Dusty went on to create Starrcade, which in fact created WrestleMania, because of everything the NWA did, from the War Games to the Survival Series, WWE just copied, and that's just the truth. And not only that, Vince was raiding everybody's territories. This is the whole point. While you're raiding everybody's territories, which was a big no-no back then, and getting these wrestlers under contract, and the ones that wouldn't sign to you, something happens to them. The biggest stars in the NWA. So Mr. Eddie Graham ends up so-called killing himself, ends up shooting himself on his ex-wife's bed. And then the son follows suit years later and so-called kills himself. The people who wouldn't work with Vince, they had that mind. Imagine had Eddie Graham been around in the 80s when Dusty Rhodes was running Jim Crockett Promotions into the mud because they're spending so much money. That's one thing about Eddie Graham. He's about making money, not wasting money. And there's a lot of people I speak to, a lot of sources I speak to tell me that they felt Dusty was working for WWE. So now let's keep it going. Now, as Eddie Graham kills himself, the Florida territory is now dead. Nobody's running it. Nothing's happening in Florida, which is a wrestling state, even amateur. So WWE just swoops in there. So cool, so common, so easy. Now, let's go further into NWA and to a great wrestler by the name of Magnum TA, who a lot of people say he was a mixture of Hogan and Flair. Now, Magnum TA was one of the greatest wrestlers ever, and he was set to be the man in NWA. And mysteriously, he drives off, oil all over the road, he spins out of control, hurts himself, and a crash meant to kill him ends up paralyzing him. Another wrestler that wouldn't do business with WWF, something mysteriously has happened to him. Now, let's talk about Bruiser Brody. And let's start with the name Bruiser Brody, because he made a name out of that, which his original name was King Kong Brody. But Vince couldn't have him, so Vince took King Kong Bundy and just made him super huge and tried to push him past Brody. And if you really look at it, After Brody died in '87, King Kong Bundy was never to be seen in the same shape or fashion in the WWF. And Bruiser Brody gets killed by a man that they say Bruiser Brody was bullying him. A lot of people say Bruiser Brody wasn't bullying him, he just worked stiff. And then a lot of people say they weren't even beefing, they used to ride together on the road together, and they used to actually ride to those arenas together. So what are we really talking about here? So the man calls Brody into the shower. Brody obviously didn't think that was funny, thought they were going to go talk over a match or something, and he stabs the man and makes sure the man is gone. Another wrestler mysteriously dies. It's not a mystery how he died, but it's a mystery on why he died. Another wrestler that refused to join the WWE. Now I want to talk about a wrestler in the WWE that was uncontrollable, and Vince McMahon went out his way to ruin the man's career. Jimmy Superfly Snuka was the most popular wrestler in the WWF at the time, which is now called the WWE. Now see, I was telling people for years, y'all don't remember back then, JYD was over, Jimmy Snuka was over. They loved those two people, but Snuka was something else. People loved Jimmy Snuka. And that became a problem once Vince got Hulk Hogan. He couldn't continue paying Jimmy and Hogan at the same time as the biggest star. And Hulk Hogan was extremely jealous of Jimmy Snuka being the racist that he is. So by Rowdy Piper, the whistleblower's own admission, when he hit Jimmy Snuka with that coconut, and when he beat him up and hit him with all that fruit and degraded him like that, that was all about ruining Jimmy Snuka's pop that he had, his fandom that he had. Even coming off the top rope of the cage on Don Morocco, but he lost the match, was about killing his steam that he had. Rowdy Piper said they said give him to Rowdy to let him finish him off. And Rowdy hit that man with that coconut that changed his life forever and hurt his head. And Rowdy Piper talks about that. You look it up. Look up Rowdy Piper on Jimmy Snuka, and you'll hear it out of the horse's mouth. So he wasn't willing to let Jimmy Snuka go because he had this idea to push Hogan as the man. Hogan's in movies. Jimmy Snuka can't talk as good as Hogan. Jimmy Snuka can't act as good as Hogan. He could just wrestle way better than Hogan, and the fans just loved him. But he couldn't just cut Jimmy Snuka and let Jimmy Snuka go join the WCW. No, not his most popular wrestler, so they went to ruin him. And I'm pretty sure there's something to do with that woman's death, his wife's death, that they try to put on him. May just be a little deeper than that. So then if we go past all that, what's left to talk about is the sacrifices and mysterious deaths of wrestlers, even that wrestled for the WWE that came years later. Macho Man died in a car accident. JYD died in a car accident. Bunch of wrestlers dying in car accidents. Bunch of wrestlers committing suicide. And I believe this is all about sacrifices, making blood sacrifice to keep the machine going. You ever wonder why WWE just keeps going? It has nothing to do with how good the product is, because Vince ain't doing this no more. You can tell because it's just hot garbage. Vince is, to me, from what I hear from everybody, an evil, demonic person, but he has a mind for wrestling. So all you guys that are watching wrestlers, you brothers, I'm not tripping on anybody else, but the children of Judah, the Negroes, the Latinos, the Native Americans, the children of Israel that's watching wrestling, just know that you're partaking in evil, demonic deeds. And there's death upon death and suicide upon suicide and horror and sorrow behind this madness you're indulging in. And also the sacrifice of youth. Because you know about the child ring that they had, them ring boys that they had, and they was allegedly molesting ring boys, and Pat Patterson was a part of that, and he actually had to get fired, but then WWE brought him back. Tell me why. Why would WWE bring him back? Just a bunch of wicked heathens. So know what you're watching. And now, did you see this? If you keep watching that madness, you're partakers in the evil. Now, this is all my opinion, but let me tell you what's not my opinion. Be you therefore followers of God as dear children, and walk in the love as Christ also have loved us, and have given himself for us an offering and a sacrifice to God for a sweet smelling Savior. But fornication and all uncleanness or covetousness, let it not be once named among you. Don't covet what these evil people have, or covet what these evil people do. As becometh the saints, neither filthiness nor foolishness, talking nor jesting, which are convenient, but rather giving thanks. For this you know, that whoremonger and unclean person, not covetous man, who is an idler, have an inheritance in the kingdom of the Christ and of God. So following this, supporting this, making these evil people rich will condemn you. So stay away from this madness. It's fake as well. And stay away from WWE. It's evil as hell.